Yeah.
Gretchen, Kathy, can y'all hear me? Test with Gretchen and Catherine. Bill, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, just making sure I hadn't muted myself. Recording. All right, we're starting on slide one. This is the introduction to the National Accounts Program. This is the topics we'll be covering today. The RSP, which is what we call it in FOCATICS, which is the Restoration Service Provider National Account Program. We've abbreviated it to RSP. We'll cover the whole program from beginning to where we're at right now. Bill McDaniel will be covering that topic. Once that's complete, then we'll have a question period, and then we'll slide into a short presentation on where we are with our national insurance program. Todd Stitzel will be presenting that, and then we'll have questions on that, and then we'll slide into our pay-per-click program. With that, I'll turn the presentation over to Bill and start with page 3 on the slides for those who are dialing in.
Thanks, Mark. For those of you that have been around for a while, you're probably familiar with some of our starts and restarts with regard to getting into the restoration industry. I think why we want to get into the restoration industry is pretty obvious. There's a couple of main reasons. First of all, the restoration industry as it relates to fire losses is a huge market. You can see some of the statistics there about how many fires and how many cubic feet of space are damaged every week in the country on populations of 500,000. And really every one of those fire losses has some odor issue related to it. And I think we all know that the BioSweep technology could solve those problems better and faster than any other technology, and better and faster really translates into less costly. So that's kind of why we think it's important to get into the restoration industry. Now back in 2014, in June of 2014, we had a 2 or 3 day seminar here in Indianapolis where several of the franchisees came and we provided some preliminary training on fire losses and sort of the way that industry works. And at that time, our business model was to sell our BioSweep franchisees and our BioSweep services directly to restoration contractors. And the restoration contractors serve the insurance industry through a software protocol called Xactimate. And basically, Xactimate has a list of categories or items that could go together to make up the work required to restore a building or a structure after a fire loss. And the restoration contractors bid their jobs using Xactimate and using those categories. And so we were going to call on the restoration contractors directly, and we made several calls. We did some demonstrations with the restoration contractors that went pretty well. But at the end of the day, the restoration contractors really felt like our technology was going to take money away from them, and which in part could be true. I think when you add that in with the complication of the Xactimate protocol, where there really wasn't a perfect match for our services in the way jobs are bid, I think we could see how many restoration contractors would see our technology as really a way to reduce their profitability. And so at the end of 2014, we sort of abandoned that business model, and really we're scratching our heads. So slide 4 now. So we thought, well, if the restoration contractors aren't interested, maybe we should just try to go to the insurance carriers themselves, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that potentially could save the most amount of money. And so we made some attempts to contact insurance carrier decision makers, which would be fairly high up people at insurance companies, and we really didn't have a lot of success at making those contacts. We did, could make contact with local adjusters, and the adjusters, they had the rules. They knew they used Xactimate. They knew who their favorite restoration contractors were. So we really didn't get a lot of traction with the local adjusters, and we didn't make good contacts at high levels in the insurance companies. Then we thought about Crawford Connection, but as we sort of looked at them, we realized they were more of a clearinghouse for restoration contractors as opposed to a group that would put their stamp on a particular technology. So we were at a bit of a loss, frankly, and then the first part of June this year, we got a break with the Travelers Insurance Company, and they had a job in Nashville, Tennessee, about 1.4 million cubic feet. One of their preferred restoration contractors had been on site for several weeks and really had made little, if any, improvement in the odor issue. And with the help of some of our franchisees, Phocatics came in with our BioSweep technology, and we really solved that problem in 4 days. And in that particular case, we priced the job at 12 cents a cubic foot, and that type of pricing for coming in and taking care of the odor problems is really not a category that would be included in Xactimate. So the insurance company sort of had to step outside their normal paradigm and say, okay, if you can do it for 12 cents, that's a pretty simple number to understand, and we'll give you a shot at it. And we performed extremely well, and we actually saved Travelers probably $1 million plus, because their next step, had we not been able to solve the odor problem, would have been to tear out a lot of the inside of the building and rebuild it. So we saved them a great deal of money on that particular job. A couple of weeks later, we got a call to look at a job in South Bend, Indiana. This one happened to be 4.3 million cubic feet, and after some discussion, with the carrier and the insurance carrier, we agreed on 10 cents a cubic foot. We were really primed and ready to go, but at the end of the day, the owner of the building said they'll just take the cash and they won't worry about restoring the building. So obviously a little disappointed that we didn't get a chance to do the job, but we felt good about the fact that Travelers was willing to call us again for even a bigger job based on what we had done in Nashville. So next slide. So sort of as a result of those bits of feedback, we felt like selling directly to the insurance carriers, and there's also a group of consultants that the insurance carriers use to sort of help them identify the best way to restore particular large loss jobs. So there's a group of consultants that sort of fall into this national account group of potential customers. But anyway, we think it makes sense to sell to the carriers and the consultants directly. And in order to do that, we're going to have to develop a national sales program to call on all of these national accounts. And we're in the very early stages of developing that national sales program. When we get these jobs, I mean, we see Focatics as being the contract holder. We'll hold the receivable, we'll sign the contract with the carrier, we'll assist or do the estimating and the billing, and that way the carrier, the insurance carrier, will have one entity to deal with for any losses, any jobs they might have anywhere in the country, which is something that they would prefer to do, is to deal with one vendor as opposed to a number of individual vendors. So that's sort of our current thinking on the business model.
Over there? Bill, you there?
Yeah, slide 6.
Okay.
All this help you guys as franchisees. And the first thing is that a lot of this work would be work that you would most likely not know about in the first place, or be in a position to secure this type of business. So we think any of these jobs that come down the pike and come your way is a plus for all of our franchisees. And on all the jobs, there will be a number of different ways that our franchisees can participate in these jobs from a financial perspective, as well as maybe from a labor and equipment perspective. And we'll talk about those here in a second. And for the opt into this program, we'll also give them access to our RCP 1400 units, and we'll talk about what those are and how they kind of fit into the whole program here in a second. So next slide, Mark. All right, so currently we've sort of set $50,000 as the cutoff between what we would call a small job and a large loss job. And so small jobs in your territory, jobs under $50,000, we would basically just turn over to the local franchisee. Now there might be a few jobs that are under $50,000 but have some tricky technical issues that we might need to be involved in, that we couldn't just carte blanche turn over to the local franchisee. But in general, we currently set $50,000 as the threshold for distinguishing between a small job and a large loss job. So on the small jobs, if it's in your territory, we would typically turn that over to the franchisee. We would help you do the bidding. We would do the invoicing and hold the contract with the carrier, and you would run the job and make a profit. So that's on the small jobs. On large loss jobs, those that are over $50,000, or maybe smaller jobs that are technically challenging, there's a number of ways that the franchisees can participate. The first way is if the job is in your territory, you'll get a percentage of the profit on that job with no involvement on your part whatsoever. You don't even need to know where the job is. You don't need to come to the job. If it's in your territory and it's a large loss job, you're going to get a percentage of the profit. You may also be asked to provide on-site labor for a job that's in your territory or maybe not in your territory. As you can imagine, when you're dealing with 4 million cubic feet, there's a lot of moving parts. There's going to be instances where we're going to need on-site labor that are familiar with our equipment, sort of familiar with the technology, and so you might be asked to provide labor on some of these larger jobs. Additionally, you might be asked to be the project manager on one of these jobs, and again, it may or may not be in your territory. You also might be asked to rent equipment onto a job. A lot of these large jobs may require, you can see 30 to 50 biosweep units or even more. And so you might be asked to provide equipment on some of these jobs. And then we recognize that there might be the possibility where, as time goes on, you begin to know some of the local adjusters, and you might find out about a job that one of these national accounts has that we may not know at the national level. And if you're involved in identifying and securing those jobs, whether they're in your territory or not, you would get a percentage of the profit for playing that role of identifying and securing that work. And all of these different ways you can participate in these large jobs, I mean, you might be able to place several of those roles on the same job. So it's not just one or the other. It could be several or even all of those roles potentially. So we see this as a case where whether the national account job is a small job or a large job, it's in your territory or not, there are a multiple number of ways that you might be asked to participate, either with labor, with equipment, and clearly in all these instances also participate financially. Next slide.
Hold on here. There we go.
So as if you decide to opt into this national account program, one other thing that you would have access to is a unit called the RCP 1400. This is a unit that we designed I don't know, a year and a half or so ago. We have a patent pending on it, and it's a stationary built-in unit that would go into a restoration contractor's facility into what they call their contents processing room. So on these fire loss jobs, there's oftentimes contents in the building, in the structure that need to be taken off and cleaned and deodorized. And a lot of restoration contractors have these processing rooms where they do that kind of work. And so we've designed the 1400 to specifically be physically located in those rooms and do the odor elimination for these contractors faster and better than ozone, which is typically what they use today. If we place any of these 1,400 units with restoration contractors in your territory, you would get a fee for delivering the unit, very basic training. If you know how the biosweep equipment works, you'll know how the 1,400 works, so the training will be fairly simple for you all to provide. And then you would also get a % of the monthly rent. Our current economic model on the 1,400 is to charge a one-time lump sum amount initially, and then to charge them a monthly rental fee every month on a going forward basis. Now, we're not really sure what the market acceptance of that particular economic model might be, but regardless of what economic model works out, we see the franchisees that are in this program participating financially, whatever the case is, on 1,400 units that we place in their territory. All right, next slide. So that's pretty much a summary of our program. And like I said, we just started building a national account sales team. We've got a couple of people on board right now at this point. And so really the next steps are for all the franchisees to review the National Account Program Agreement, which I think all of you should have at this point. And then we need to have every franchisee either opt into the program or specifically opt out of the program, just to make sure we know what everybody's intentions are. And at the end of the agreement that you all have, there's a sheet where you can decide whether you want to opt into the program or opt out. And if we really want a positive response from everybody, be it opting in or opting out, we need something back from everybody with what their intentions are. So that's pretty much the Restoration Service Provider Program and the way we've got it laid out and kind of the work we've done up to this point. We have a couple of other small jobs right now that are pending, and this is all by word of mouth so far. We really haven't gone out and knocked on too many doors yet. So we're confident that this is a better model than calling on the restoration contractors, and we think if we build the national sales program, we'll really be able to make some good inroads in this market. So Mark, if you want to, I guess, take the mute off.
Yep. Hold on. Was there any questions from the audience?
Hi, Mark. This is Ron from Denver. With this moving forward, is there any support that we can provide on a local level, or is everything pretty much going to be run out of a national kind of top-down approach?
Well, there is the provision that if you find a job locally that would be with one of these national account customers, that you can give us that information. We'll help you bid the work. And my guess is most of those jobs that you would find at the local level are going to be in the small job category. And so that would be work that we could help you with in terms of bidding and estimating. And as we go along, some of those carriers might want us to be the contract holder. So if it was one of those kind of jobs and it worked that way, and it was a small job, you'd be able to do it most likely in your own territory. If it was really a large job, I mean, you would get a percentage of the profit for bringing that job to us, and then you'd get a percentage of the profit on the job based on what other roles or equipment you provided on the job. So we're not specifically asking the local franchisees to go out and knock on insurance companies' doors to try to get this business, but if through the Kiwanis or whatever your networking group of folks is, if you know some people and you have some jobs, I mean, we can help with those. But we're not counting on that necessarily. We really think to get to the right level of people in the insurance companies, you know, we need some very experienced folks that maybe know a lot of these high-level executives already to get in the door and explain how and why our technology can really help them save money that they otherwise aren't going to be able to do.
Sure. Sounds great. And Bill, one other quick question: who would be the Focatics point of contact?
It sort of, I guess it depends a little bit. I mean, Todd will be sort of at the front of the national sales program and specking out the jobs. I don't know, Todd, do you want to say more about that?
Yes, can you guys hear me? I think I was on mute.
You're good.
Yes. Hi, Ron. Right now I'm the sort of the primary person on our team. But our goal is that over the course of the next year that we have at least 3 or 4 salespeople that will be able to handle those sort of key account calls.
Would that be franchise owners?
Yes, it would be a franchise owner who has who we've identified who has experience in the insurance arena and or key contact experience. So yes, I think that was that Gretchen? I think that the answer is yes.
Okay, so will over the course of a year or so will Focatics take the responsibility of getting all of us certified or all of us educated up to that level, so it's an even playing level? Hello?
I think the from a technical perspective, in terms of being able to run a job and serve as a project manager on a job, I think it's reasonable to think that with some experience and some training and some on-the-job training, that many, if not all, of our franchisees could reach the level of being able to perform as a project manager on these jobs. In terms of making the national account sales calls to these insurance carriers, I mean, what we're doing right now, and you know, we may learn that other approaches would also work, but what we're doing right now is we're focusing on finding people that have been a national adjuster for an insurance company for 25 years, or you know, has been in that industry and knows those people and knows how it works. Those are the folks that we're looking for right now to be part of this national sales program, because you know, when we try to knock on those doors, I mean, they just sort of laugh and say, "Hell, we don't know you, get out of here." So we're really looking to find people that have direct long-term relationships with executives, high-level people in insurance companies. That's what our current focus is in terms of developing a sales program.
And Bill, I might add in, this is modeled, I shouldn't say modeled. We've learned a lot watching the Canadian market. Darren Fricke has been up there. He bought his company from Jason Boyer. And the insurance companies, Intact and Gore, which are the two, Intact is 24% of the market of insurance in the commercial market and home, and Intact is about 6%. So between those two companies, insurance companies, that's 30% of the marketplace in Canada. And Darren has been in the restoration industry for over 20 years, and he, along with some of his other licensees up there, they're called licensees rather than franchisees, they've been able to leverage their years of experience and their personal credibility to get the BioSweep onto the job. So, we've knocked on some doors ourselves personally, Bill, myself, Todd, we've all tried, and it's a very slow go, and having people that have the industry reputation and experience should accelerate it much faster, in our opinion. Any other questions?
Yes, I have another one. How will we know, or how will we be informed that there is a job in our territory being done? It would probably be the project manager or one of the managing partners would notify you as part of the project. Okay.
Well, from an administrative perspective, at least initially, I'm going to be making sure that we collect all the information that we need on these jobs, because there potentially can be a lot of different players involved, and so we need to know, what was the revenue on the job, who played these different roles, who rented equipment on the job, how long we were there, what other third-party expenses did we have in case we had to rent scaffolding or compressors or whatever the case might be. And so, we've developed a workbook, if you will, that'll keep track of all of these revenues and costs and who did what, where, and when on what jobs. And so, and that's a very, what Mark's got up there now is a very simplistic example of really what you would ultimately have to keep track of. But so from an administrative point, I'll be making sure we're collecting all this information. And so I guess from that perspective, I, along with the project manager, could be responsible for making sure that people and the local franchisees know if and when a job is happening in their area.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay, I have another one.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so let's just say, for example, we get a job. Somebody calls, I don't know who. Let's just say they call me. Then is it going to be something like we call Todd and say, Todd, you need to come and, price it out? Or can you give us like a scenario of how it will work, Mark, or somebody?
Well, Gretchen, and I'll take a stab at it, and then Todd and Bill can correct me, but there are really two elements to this. You were contracted one time to do an odor job, which was a fire job, and I think the key is who is the customer. If you're working with an insurance company and getting paid by an insurance company, the probability of you getting the work may go down, because unless you're a registered vendor with them, you won't be able to work with the insurance companies. Now you could work as a sub to one of the contractors who are doing the sub to them, which is basically what you did when you did an odor job and got rid of smoke odors in an office where a warehouse fire occurred. I think the delineation is really, if you're going to be working with insurance companies, you really want to get us involved, because we'll be able to help on doing all of the proper billing and making sure you maximize all the revenue you can on the job. There's all kinds of tricks to it, just like if you go into a claim for a car, you've got all these different things they're looking at. It's the grill, the lights. They're looking at all different parts and allocating funds for that. Same with the STAR project. as Bill pointed out, the sheet that we have up in front of you is just a basic sheet of stuff that is personally involved. On larger projects, we're looking at having to bring in man lists. We're looking at bringing in 3 and 4 generators to run numerous pieces of equipment. So hence the $50,000 number that we just came up with from based on our limited data points. So the key for the franchisee, if you can land the work and work right for a customer, great. But if you work with insurance companies and you probably need to call us or want to have a chance to get the job, you need to call us to see if we can help you land that job. Would you agree, Todd?
Yeah, that's a really good a good scenario. And Gretchen, you're asking a terrific question. I think that the whole model really is focused on how we can generate a business through these key accounts, through these national insurance carrier, regional insurance carrier relationships that then will translate into real tangible opportunities for everyone on the ground. And so, Gretchen, if you get a call, hey, go for it. If we can be supportive in any way, from our experience or help you properly price it, etc., so you're not leaving money on the table, happy to do that. But that would really be a job that you would do that with or without us anyway. What we're really talking about here, larger loss projects that could happen in anyone's backyard, and really wanting to fully engage the service providers who choose to opt in, and in your participation, you're learning, you're getting some training, hopefully, and so it's really what we hope is a very winsome approach. Because again, the large loss insurance jobs, many of them aren't even managed locally. Generally, anything over $500,000 is going to be managed at a regional level. And so these are jobs that generally the insurance carrier already have the Belfors or other contractors, independent contractors, DKI, sort of on the hook, and we're really trying to compete with the larger entities to try to get them to strip out the dotarization phase of these projects.
Todd, I have a question that just dawned on me that may be dovetailing on Gretchen's. If a franchisee sees in paper there's a large warehouse fire, is it our benefit to have them reach out to us and let us know, or do we want them to go and inquire who the insurance company is? Is there anything on these ones in their areas that happen in the backyard they see in paper that might help?
Sure, absolutely, sure.
So,
absolutely.
Okay, so Todd, I get all that, but run through a scenario of you like this, you got a great big job and you already have it, and now you got to assign a project manager, you got to do this, you got to do that. Give us kind of a scenario of how you're going to decide who your project manager is going to be, or who's going to, all those things that you had listed.
I can give you some of the information in this call. Some of it we need to have another call that everybody can participate in. But the project manager is generally going to be, could be an individual who has landed the account and has had experience with us in managing large projects. And so the project manager obviously would be a Biosuit franchisee, obviously from another part of the country. It's not in their own backyard. And we would be working as a team to identify how we're going to best resource that project. So let's just say, Gretchen, let's just say that large loss, that illustration from Tennessee, was in your backyard. Bill or the project manager or myself most likely would say, hey, Gretchen, we've got this enormous opportunity. It's in your backyard. And you would be involved if you had opted in, which I'm presuming you will. You would be involved in the project, but you probably wouldn't be at this stage of the game the project manager, but you would be participating, and most likely to the extent that you have equipment that you want to make available to that project as well. That's another way that you're going to make some good money. But in terms of how those project managers are selected, it really is going to come down to who has the relationship, what the scope, how large it is, and what the needs are. And our goal, Gretchen, is to have as many people over the long term that through additional training and resourcing can step up to be able to, like Bill or Mark said, be capable of being a project manager on a job. It may be that we're stepping into it on some smaller jobs as a project manager, but ultimately wanting to have as many competent project managers as we possibly can, because again, we're trying to effectively manage this and provide an insurance company with the ability to mobilize into any market at any time. And in order to do that, Gretchen, we're going to have as many service providers that are capable of handling that load.
Okay, Todd, thank you.
Oh, God. There with the phone. Any other questions?
Just to follow up a second on both of Gretchen's questions. If we close our eyes and think about what the perfect outcome of this whole program is, we'd see us being able to go to national meetings of these insurance carriers where they have all their, we make a presentation and one of their VPs stands up and says, hey, anytime you have an odor issue, call Focatics, they'll take care of it. That's who you ought to be using on all your fire loss jobs. And so in the best case, it'll be a top-down deal where we won't need you, Gretchen, to be calling the local adjusters because they'll sort of have a mandate to use it because of our performance on the larger jobs.
Correct.
And then the second point is just like what Todd said on the project managers. I mean, ideally, we would be able to lay out, here are the criteria for anyone to become a project manager, and it would be very specific and very objective as to what has to be achieved in order to become a project manager. I mean, we're not there yet, but in the perfect world, we would have a program that would be just like that. So anybody would know exactly, here are the 10 things I have to do to become a qualified, certified project manager.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
Any other questions?
Yes, Mario, California. My question has to do with restoration contractors, and if it's a problem for us to approach them from our end, is it contradictory to BioSweep new policies or not?
I guess I can take that. Todd, you there?
Yes, I am.
You want me to take that one and take a stab at it?
Yeah. Hi, Mario. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. That's a great question, Mario. We would fully encourage you to contact any restoration contractors of your choosing, because if you can build a relationship with the contractor at the local level, that's going to be terrific for you, and we want you to generate and derive as much work as you possibly can. And so the positive is that you could be getting at work that you wouldn't ordinarily get at. It doesn't pose a conflict for us unless that contractor is trying to bid, obviously against us at the national level for deodorization. But what's happening, Mario, structurally is that the insurance carrier is stripping out the deodorization phase of the project, and so the restoration contractor is not being asked to bid that portion of the work. So in a perfect world, perfect model, there really is no conflict or any tension with those contractors because the insurance carrier is not letting them bid that work with deodorization.
Okay, that's my experience so far. That has been my experience here.
Good.
Thanks.
All right, I was going to slide into the insurance presentation. I'm putting that up on the screen now, and so you should be able to see that. This is a program that we've been working on for several months, and it is the Property and Casualty Services presentation. I'm going to go to, for those who are on the phone, if you can pull that up and go to page 2, that's where the presentation begins. And Todd, I've got page 2 up there where it starts with the exclusive insurance program for BioSweep franchises. So you can take.
Yeah, Mark, I'll let you scroll through those as I'm talking, just very, very briefly. I think hopefully most of you are aware of or familiar with procured insurance under our new national group insurance program. Steve Appel, who's the contact, and his card is one of the screens. I think it's the last screen. Steve Appel of Gregory & Appel, a very large commercial broker, insurance broker here in Indianapolis, have put together a terrific program that took us almost a year to get it out. But what we've got is a really comprehensive plan that really gets everyone properly covered, and frankly gets all of us better covered than most of us historically have enjoyed. The commercial liability coverage is a $1 million per occurrence, $2 million. See, it's got the flexibility of, you've got the flexibility if you had special needs that you needed to increase your policy limits. We can do that within the program, and that's just a matter of your contacting Steve directly. The other thing is that as a part of the commercial liability coverage, it includes some things that historically none of us have enjoyed or had, and that is there's an emission insurance as well as pollution legal liability. So those two very important areas of coverage that are also included. The other side of it is that it has a commercial auto component for those of you, and we would encourage all of you to carry a commercial auto, whether you carry it with us in this program or not. And then obviously, if you need work comp, if you have employees and are not under an owner exemption, the work comp rates are also very competitive. And so the intent here, guys and gals, is to be able to offer everyone something that is competitive, affordable. It has different payment options to fit your own budget, and also to know that we're not going to run the risk of a cancellation in the field with one carrier that could make it difficult to reinsure. The policies have been written in such a way that we really feel like everyone is going to be able to stay in the program as long as they want. For the existing franchisees, existing service providers, prior to the inception of the program, it's an opt-in. You can opt in anytime you want, or if your existing policies are up for renewal, you're going to want to take a look at these policies. And it's a real simple application. It's just really a 1 or 2 page app that Steve will send you, and he'll get back with you. The other side is for our new service providers who have joined us, say, in the last 4 or 5 months. It's mandatory. So all of our new service providers don't have the option of shopping insurance on their own, and that's primarily a function of the headaches and frustration that all of us have experienced in the field. So I'm happy to answer questions about that program. I believe right now we have 7 locations that are in the program. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
I have a question for you, Melvin from Biosipo Phoenix.
Yes, sir.
Hey, are you considering the insurance of the equipment? I do. Yes. I do have an insurance for equipment for $40,000 right now for any loss or damage.
Yes, it's in the program. It's also that equipment loss is called inland marine. That's the sort of the insurance title for it. And inland marine is part of the policy, and it's very inexpensive. It's basically when you buy the commercial coverage, you're getting the inland marine, and you can set the limits on the inland marine as high or low as you need them to be. So yes, that is included, Melvin, in the program, and it's very as a total cost of your insurance, it's very modest. Very low.
I do have another question. What happened? I have another question. What happened in the scenario that we rent the equipment if they get it we receive the equipment after the rented with some damage or a scratches? You
mean in the insurance program?
Uh-huh.
Yes, if any field equipment, whether it was a BioSuite machine or a PortaSense or anything that was a can filter, anything that was damaged in any way on a job, that would be Focatic's responsibility to either repair or replace any damaged equipment in the field. So if you had your equipment, Melvin, on an insurance project, and for some reason it was stolen or it was damaged, that would be our responsibility.
Okay. What is the cover? Is 100% or is 80-20?
The coverage would be a matter of determining if it were something that could be simply repaired. Like, for example, if a lamp got knocked over, that's one thing. If the unit were stolen, we would simply replace the unit.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hey, Todd.
Yes.
This is Jim Hunt in Lincoln. You said you had, first of all, I have insurance, and Inland Marine provides the coverage for my equipment. I was wondering, out of the 7, you said there's 7 franchisees that have the insurance now?
Yes.
And has the experience been, did any of them have insurance before, and did this program save them some money on their premium, do you know?
That's a great question. The ones that I'm thinking of, let's say 4 are all new locations. The one question I would have, I think Dan Chase might be on this call, or Robert Cunningham, and I think they were looking at replacing existing insurance with this policy. Dan, are you on the call? Do you have a perspective on that?
Todd, I didn't know if he left the call or not here. I can check.
Okay. Well, Jim, the premiums have varied because there is some market fluctuation depending on what market you're in geographically.
Sure.
But I want to say that, and I know that Don Whitehead is currently pricing coverage for both Nashville and Tampa, if I'm not mistaken. And I think the initial feedback I had gotten from Don is that it was very competitive. It was very close to what he was already getting quoted. I haven't heard anyone say it was, a big discount, because I think all the insurance markets are pretty similar in the field. The bigger question is, though, is dollars to dollars, are you getting, some of the other coverages that are important, like errors and omission and pollution liability, et cetera. Those generally are not being offered, or at least they tend to be more costly for our folks in the field. But I want to say that the ranges have been 20. If everybody had commercial liability plus automobile liability, excluding work comp, I think the numbers have been between $2,200 and $2,800 generally for the markets that I've seen.
Yeah,
annually.
I should probably just send Steve my deck page and see if they can see if it compares.
Just have him price it, and if it's if it's competitive and you're getting more bang for the buck, I'd encourage you to look at it, or if it's up for renewal. But yeah, by no means. And by the way, you don't have to necessarily buy all the lines. If you've got part of your policy that may have a different expiration date or renewal date, or maybe you're getting a better value for whatever reason, and you only want to buy commercial auto, then that's certainly an option as well. You can sort of, it's a cafeteria plan where you can buy whatever parts of it you need.
There must be a greater understanding of what we're doing now, because when I went to procure insurance, it was very hard for them to understand exactly, when I tried to explain our technology and stuff.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jim. This took us almost a year. A lot of dialogue. I probably had, there was probably, I don't know, at least 40 or 50 pages of questionnaire material that kept coming back and forth between Steve, the underwriter's consultant, and me. And so we just feel like it gives us it gives us the ability to offer you guys something that hopefully will be of value to you.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, then we'll just do this last slide, which is jumping back to the RSP slide presentation, and it's just a quick website update. That's page 11 that I'm on, and I was going to cover that very briefly. Just a couple of things. If the franchisees, if you could take a picture of your vehicle or something to personalize your franchise page, over half still haven't done that yet. It'd just be helpful on that end. We still are doing the pay-per-click program. Hopefully you're seeing if you're getting calls, you do quantify if it came in to see if it did come in from the click program. We've got that active for all the franchisees that have asked for it. And then lastly, we're starting on the social media. It's going to be the franchise of the week. And on our social media, which is Facebook, LinkedIn, and that type, we're going to feature a franchisee each week. I sent an email about this about 6 weeks ago, and Burke Communications has been slowly working their way through. We're starting alphabetically, as I mentioned on there, with the states, and they're calling you, and just to get a little bit of personal information so they can tailor it a little bit to your market as it goes out there into the social media world. So those are the three things that we've got going on that right now. So any questions on that front, or any other general questions while we got everybody on the phone? All right. Well,
hey, Mark.
Yes, sir.
Jim Hunt again in Lincoln. Did I miss when you needed to have us opt in or out? Is there a date?
I don't think we put that on there. We're just trying to get the information out. We'll probably follow up with an email to clarify that question. Bill, did you have a date in mind since you're on the phone? Hey, Bill, can you hear me?
He's gone.
Oh, maybe he's gone. So we'll just,
I muted myself.
Okay. Bill, any thoughts? I mean, can you just we'll send an email out and identify some dates and some milestones for the signing and opting into the RSP?
Yeah, there's not a specific date in the agreement, just because I wasn't sure quite when we were going to roll it out. But yeah, I'd say within the next, week or two.
All right.
Okay. Well, thank everybody for dialing in, and we're excited about this program and looking forward to working with you guys on the RSP program. So with that,
thanks, Mark.
We'll close it from here.
Thank you very much, Mark.
We convene for the next group on Thursday.
Thank you, Mark.